Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Utapatakamalам Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shya Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvedam Swavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Kopesh Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin, for the wonderful Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter, and verse for today is 28, Prabhuji.
28, Hochika.
Thank you. Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Divim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyeta Nashta Prayeshva Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavate Shloke Bhakti Bhavtinashtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the Sanskrit is as follows. Tato Vishesham Pratipadya Nirbhayash Tena Atmana Po Nala Murti Atvaram Jyotirmayo Vayum Upetya Kale Vayu Atmana Kham Brihad Atmalingam. Translation. After reaching Satyalok, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtle body in an identity similar to that of the gross body, and one after another he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing, and airy, until he reaches the ethereal stage. Hare Govind Prabhu, you like to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Anyone who can reach Brahmaloka or Satyaloka by dint of spiritual perfection and practice is qualified to attain three different types of perfection. One who has attained a specific planet by dint of pious activities attains places in terms of his comparative pious activities. One who has attained the place by dint of Virat or Hiranyagarbha, worship is liberated along with the liberation of Brahma. But one who attains the place by dint of devotional service is specifically mentioned here in relation to how he can penetrate into the different coverings of the universe and thus ultimately disclose his spiritual identity in the absolute atmosphere of supreme existence. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, all the universes are clustered together up and down, and each and every one of them is separately sevenfold covered. The watery portion is beyond the sevenfold coverings, and each covering is 10 times more expansive than the previous covering. The personality of Godhead, who creates all such universes by his breathing period, lies above the cluster of these universes. The water of the causal ocean is differently situated than the covering water of the universe. The water that serves as the covering for the universe is material, whereas the water of the causal ocean is spiritual. As such, of the watery covering mentioned herein is considered to be the false egoistic covering of all living entities. And the gradual process of liberation from the material coverings, one after another, as mentioned herein, is the gradual process of being liberated from false egoistic conceptions of the material gross body, and then being absorbed in the identification of the subtle body till the attainment of the pure spiritual body in the absolute realm of the kingdom of God. Srila Sridhara Swami confirms that a part of the material nature, after being initiated by the Lord, is known as the Mahat Tattva. A fractional portion of the Mahat Tattva is called the false ego. A portion of the ego is the vibration of the sound, and a portion of the sound is atmospheric air. A portion of the airy atmosphere is turned into forms, and the forms constitute the power of electricity or heat. Heat produces the smell of aroma of the earth, and the gross earth is produced by such aroma, and all these combined together constitute the cosmic phenomenon. The extent of the cosmic phenomenon is called is calculated to be diametrically both ways 4 billion miles. Then the coverings of the universe begin. The first stratum of the covering is calculated to extend 80 million miles, and the subsequent coverings of the universe are respectively of fire, effulgence, air, and ether, one after another, each extending 10 times further than the previous. The fearless devotee of the Lord penetrates each one of them and ultimately reaches the absolute atmosphere where everything is of one and the same spiritual identity. Then the devotee enters one of the Vaikuntha planets, where he assumes exactly the same form as the Lord and engages in loving transcendental service of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of devotional life. Beyond this, there is nothing to be desired or achieved by the perfect yogi. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro. So, here Sri Prabhupada gives us some information. I'll read the verse again. After reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the subtle body in an identity similar to that of the gross body. And one after another, he gradually attains the stages of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing, and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. So this verse is not very easy to understand, but can be simplified in one sentence also, that for a devotee to enter into Vaikuntha is not difficult, it's easy. But here we are getting different opinions and explanations. Sri Prabhupada here mentions that anyone can reach Brahmaloka. I think everybody knows where is Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is the highest planet in the material world. You may have seen the picture of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and from his navel comes the lotus flower. And on the lotus flower sits Lord Brahma. And in that stem, there are 14 planetary systems. So the planet which is up, or the highest, is the Brahmaloka. It's also called Satyaloka, because to reach there, it's very truthful people can reach there. So here Sri Prabhupada says, by dint of spiritual perfection, one can become qualified to attain 3 kinds of perfections. Number one can go there by pious activities. by pious activities, one gets a desired place. If one really wants to go to Brahmaloka, then one has to be a very pious person. For example, Maharaj Yudhishthira was so pious, so truthful, that even when he wanted to leave body, Lord Brahma said, "Come to my planet, for you are very truthful." So that's one of the ways of going there. The second one is by worship of Hiranyagarbha, who is Lord Brahma. One can get liberated and one can stay in that planet, and after annihilation, he gets an opportunity to go from there to Vaikuntha. Is mentioned elsewhere in the Bhagavatam that when the total annihilation takes place, then only the residents of Brahmaloka become qualified to return to Vaikuntha. That means each stands a chance to go there. And third one is, if one, by Krishna consciousness, can penetrate different coverings of the universe. This universe has many, many coverings, which are mentioned later on. And he can understand his identity, can enter Vaikuntha. It means by practice of Krishna consciousness, one can even go there, even in this life. One can surpass all the seven coverings. Just like if you look at your body, a body also is an example that the body externally is a skin. Inside the skin, there's a marrow, flesh, bones, blood, and so many things. So, right inside that body is the soul. So, in order to penetrate or to reach the soul, even mechanically, one has to go through all these things, all these coverings. Otherwise, it's not possible. However, if one understands the identity, then he can easily know what is the soul. Those who read Bhagavad Gita regularly, the second chapter, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purpose, and even Krishna explains to Arjuna, in many, many ways, what is the spirit soul. And at last, he says, what is the proof that there is a spirit soul is the consciousness. And to accept that there is a spirit soul, the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, is telling us, so we accept that there is a soul. So for a devotee, it becomes easy to understand these things, though these things are actually very complicated. So here, Jiva Goswami is explaining that the water covering outside the causal ocean is nothing but all false egoism. And we have to rise to the subtle and then to the spiritual. In other words, from gross to subtle and to spiritual. Now, if you go to Bhagavad Gita 1842, Krishna explains, I think it's verse number 42, he says, higher than the senses is the mind, higher than the mind is intelligence, still higher is the soul. So at least from this verse, we know which is higher, which is more finer, which is more purer. So if you come to understand the soul, then everything becomes simplified. So here, another commentary from Sridhar Swami explains that everything expands from Mahatattva. Mahatattva means all the 24 elements combined and yet not acted by time or three modes. It's called Mahatattva. When the three modes act on Mahatattva, then they expand into 24 elements. We have done this many, many times. That there are 10 senses, 5 sense objects, then 5, Vishaya, and then 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, false ego, and the 24th is the Mahatattva, now called Pradhan. Pradhan means now it has been activated by time. So, we have to pass from the false ego to the subtle, to the finer spiritual understanding. That is the whole theme of this purport. here in the purport very nicely explaining how everything is gradually becoming finer and finer. Each one is 10 times thicker than other. So we have to go through this and enter into the spiritual realm. Now, a fearless devotee. Devotee means abhaya. Abhaya means one who has no fear about anything because he's fully dependent and is fully confident about his constitutional position and of Krishna. He engages in devotional service fearlessly. Now you'll find that as you practice Krishna consciousness, as you hear more Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other literatures, Vaishnava scriptures, then day by day you become fearless. You become better. What creates fear? One of them is the doubts. If there is doubts, confusion, the fear will remain. But if you want to become fearless, abhayam, which also Bhagavad Gita says, abhayam is one of the features of a divine person. That a devotee is fearless. The finest example is Prahlad Maharaj. He was a completely fearless, a boy of the age of 5 years old. And he was put into so many dangers by his own father. But the fear did not rise in his heart. Whereas those who are neophytes, or those who are not devotees, we find that they fear time to time. What's going to happen? Am I going to get this? Or will this please others? Or will this please Krishna? So many questions arise. And fear cannot go. That's why the meaning of Sarva Dharma Parityajya means if you surrender to Krishna, then automatically the fear goes. The more you surrender, then the fear goes. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think verse number 10, it says, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Bhava Ashrita Bhaume Jnana Tapasa Stam Agata. That many people in the past, they overcame or they went over fear, anger, and attachment. Attachment, fear, and anger, and achieved transcendental love of mind. So if you want love of Krishna, then first of all, you have to be free from 3 things. One of them is abhaya, fear, bhaya. When you become free, you are called abhaya. And the second one is to be free from attachment. We become attached to someone or something, and we can't give it up. Just like in a household life, one becomes attached to one's wife, children, wealth, property, and so on. And then if one becomes free from anger, what causes anger? Well, the root cause of anger is the lust. If one overcomes lust, becomes free from lust, and at the same time attains pure knowledge of Krishna, and by the mercy of devotees, if one can conquer lust, one can also conquer anger. So these 3 things, if they are subdued by the strength of Krishna consciousness, then a devotee finally penetrates each of these coverings, enters into Vaikuntha, and attains Sarupa Mukti. Sarupa Mukti means he attains the same form like that of Lord Vishnu, 400 form. Or maybe if you are very close, you can get a 200 form of a coward boy or a coward girl, or one of the gopis, and serve Krishna forever. So in other words, Krishna consciousness is very important. Why the Bhagavatam is giving us all this knowledge? So that we realize that there is something out there. Today people become so small-minded, or they have a very small brain. They think that whatever I am seeing, that's all. But beyond this, there is much more. Just like Sri Prabhupada in one lecture, he mentions if there is a small boy, a very inquisitive boy, he does ask his father, what is in the sky? What are those stars? Are there people living there? Is there something beyond that? That's an inquisitive mind. So if you have an inquisitive mind, you're going to ask hundreds of questions which arise on our path of Krishna consciousness. Just like when we read scriptures, and especially like Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, we find that our mind is bound to be filled with so many doubts. And if we keep asking questions, then all of them get answered. Because there's nothing Bhagavatam doesn't answer. Bhagavatam answers all the questions regarding material life, spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, who is Krishna, and how to attain him through devotional service. So all these inquiries, when, when they become answered to the full satisfaction, then everything becomes revealed. In the 4th chapter, Krishna says in one verse, just as when you attain transcendental knowledge, then everything becomes revealed like the sun. At night, you don't see everything, but as soon as the morning comes and the sun arises, everything becomes visible in front of you. In the similar way, when you become Krishna conscious, understand Krishna's position, also understand your position and your relationship with Krishna, then everything becomes revealed. Or another way, if one attains mercy of the Guru and Krishna, then the purports of the scriptures are revealed to him automatically. So it's not all that easy the way it is said. It needs a sincere endeavor and a lot of hard work to understand this spiritual knowledge. It's very, very deep. So as you inquire, these answers come and all the fear goes away. So we should, first of all, those who are devotees is not a problem. But those who are not devotees, they have many doubts, especially because they are faithless. And for the faithless, to understand the scripture is very difficult. But those whose faith is very strong and accepts at least the position of the acharyas, the parampara, and one spiritual master, then everything becomes very easy. And even if there is a slight doubt here and then, it's cleared up. And as we practice Krishna consciousness, then all the doubts go, and you become fearless. Like Sri Prabhupada is called Abhay Charanam, which actually means fearless. And actually Abhay Charan is the name of Krishna. That if you take the shelter of Krishna, in the very famous bhajan, Bhaja Hure Mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanana Bindare Dullabhamanam Janama Manusha Janma, something like that. So that bhajan, the name used of Krishna is Abhay Charan. And how to become Abhay is also explained in that bhajan very nicely. That so long we've been serving kirpanas or misers, but we have not been serving Krishna. And why are we serving for little sukha? Sukha means little pleasure, some enjoyment. We serve those miser people. But the day you start serving Krishna, then all those desires are not just fulfilled, but you come to another platform and you understand yourself and you also understand Krishna. And also the bhajan speaks about the greatness or the glories of the 9 types of devotional service, starting with hearing, chanting, worshipping, and so on. As one uses one's life more in those devotional practices, one becomes fearless, purer, and becomes eligible to go to Vaikuntha. So if you read this purport and the verse nicely, we should not be very worried. Oh, first of all, we'll have to go to Satyaloka and then go to Vaikuntha. No. Srila Prabhupada guarantees us, you simply engage in your Krishna consciousness and you do not need to worry about all those planets. We go straight to Krishna. But there are those who want to go higher, higher, higher. Maybe they want to go to Indralok, or sorry, Janalok, Mahalok, Indralok, Tapalok, and then Satyalok, gradually. Then this verse is very much applicable to him. I mean to them. But for devotees go straight to Vaikuntha. So the question may arise, how is it possible that just by engaging in devotional service, everything is there? Yes, everything is there. So the other side of this purport, or the secret side of this purport, is that we should endeavor very hard to practice our Krishna consciousness to the best of the capacity. You find that many people, they join and they become deviated either by bad company or by breaking regulatory principles or being doubtful or being misguided. Or many of us also don't want to follow properly because our faith is very weak. But if we follow, the faith becomes stronger and we are able to engage. So you find that the devotees who have a very good standing, means they've been practicing for many, many years, they have no fear and they are ready for any kind of endeavor that will please Krishna, including risking their own lives. And we have in our society ISKCON many devotees like that who give up everything simply to please Krishna or Sri Prabhupada or their spiritual master. So it needs a lot of blessings from other devotees, a lot of prayers, and a lot of humility, meekness, and if you are ready to offer respects to everyone, then the process becomes easy. And as you practice and practice, you'll find Krishna actually maintains you, takes care of you very nicely. And he guarantees this in many verses in the Bhagavad Gita, that if you simply engage in devotional service, I will take care of you. And he does take care of you. So in this way, as you hear more and more the glories of Krishna consciousness, because through Krishna consciousness, you will understand Krishna. And if you don't have faith in Krishna consciousness, then it means there's something wrong somewhere. And you won't make any progress. So I think in the 9th chapter, if I'm not wrong, verse number 3, it says, Ashradadana Purusha, Dharmasya Parantapa, Aprapyaman Nivartante, Mrityu Samsara Vartamani. That those who doubt devotional service cannot attain me, but they will return to the cycle of birth and death. So if you are doubtful about Krishna consciousness, we are going to come back. If you have no doubt, you go to Krishna. So some of us, or maybe some of you may say, oh, I'm weak in this side, I can't do this, I'm finding difficulty. But if you're practicing Krishna consciousness, you will catch up. As the time comes, then you will catch up. You find that sometimes many devotees who are many people who are very weak in the beginning, but in the due course, by the sincere endeavor and practice, they become very strong. I'll give you one example of Prabhupada's times. In a certain temple, in those days, there used to be mostly hippies joining. It means people from American community. Now, this is an example from America. And many were doing very well, many were not doing very well. And among them, there was one devotee who had joined full time, but he was very lazy. So lazy that all the time you see him either sitting on the stairs or dozing, sometimes attending Mangalati, sometimes not. And the temple president actually became very tired of him. And his name was Peter. And he says, and people used to call him Lazy Peter. And he didn't change. Now time came when the temple president changed of the temple, he had to be posted to another temple. A new temple president came. And his company was different. That this person called Peter, he changed very quickly. And in a matter of months, he became a very strong devotee. Now one day, the old temple president was passing by. And he went to this temple and he came to the temple. And he saw some devotee giving a beautiful lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam. So he asked the temple president that the face looks very similar, but who is this person? And the new temple president said, if you remember, he's that lazy Peter. He changed. Now he's become a very good devotee and on a very high post in our temple. So we should never doubt ourselves regarding Krishna consciousness, nor should we doubt someone else also. Anyone who is practicing Krishna consciousness, if someone is even weak, it doesn't matter. Provided is following the process. If he is pushed properly, compassion is shown very nicely. Some may progress very quickly, some may progress slowly. But everyone will come to the perfection stage. Most probably in this life, there is no doubt about it. If they keep up the process of hearing, chanting very seriously. So, in other words, the verse is giving us a kind of a strength that whatever the people who want to go to different planets, go to Brahmaloka, then go to Vaikuntha. We can go straight to Vaikuntha. No need to go to Brahmaloka. We have that, I mean, it's within our capacity that we can reach there. And even in this very life. So don't doubt about it. In other words, don't doubt consciousness. Just practice. And even if you are weak, don't feel yourself weak. Strengthen yourself by clearing all your doubts, becoming fearless by coming closer to Krishna. And don't be angry if you are not making progress. You find sometimes devotees, because they are egoistic, they generally become very angry. If something goes wrong, they become so angry that they don't want to progress. They just want to keep at one place. Or sometimes they give up Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness, as it is like nectar. As you practice and practice, you'll go back home, no doubt. So, one should not doubt that I am not going to Krishna. No, you will go to Krishna. Yes, you know your weaknesses. As you progress, there are weaknesses in us. And some others may even try to point out weakness in you, and you may not be weak. It doesn't matter. Remain confident and practice. That's why it says become Dhritavata. Dhritavata means become fully determined. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 28, it says, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda mohan nirmukta vajantimam dhritavita. Yes, the dhritavita, the determination doesn't come if you sin or you commit offenses. But if you become sinless, offense-free, then the dhritavita or the determination will increase. So anyone who is strong in Krishna consciousness, it means his determination is strong. Why the determination is strong? Because it's pure. So if you keep yourself pure by staying away from nonsensical things, then the purity will increase day by day. And not only that, more you hear, you'll see your weaknesses come in front of you. I sometimes give an example. of a wrestling match. I think most men or most boys, they like to see wrestling. What do you call kusti? You know kusti. And in wrestling match, if you really study, when two people are wrestling, the opponent tries to hit the part or try to squeeze the part which is weak. And in this way, he brings him down, and this is how he wins. So in our case, it's the same. Our weaknesses are shown first, and we have to try to overcome those weaknesses. And as you overcome the weaknesses by the strength of Krishna consciousness, then you can overcome. Yes, we are all full of weaknesses. We're all full of some maybe setbacks. No one can claim that we have not gone through that period. All of us go through that period. But rise above that. Our famous Bhagavatam speaker, His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj, explains, to fall is very easy, but to rise is difficult. But rise, don't stay in a fallen state. So he gave a practical example. He said, let's say you're walking on the road and you fall down into a pit. Are you going to stay in the pit? No, you rise. If it is difficult for you, you call for help. If someone is passing by, can help you and remove you from the pit. So we are always asking for help. Now we won't ask for help if you are not humble. If you are too proud, we say, no, I'll sort out myself. But then we can say that's your dark side of the character. Humility also means that if you are weak, ask for help. That I'm weak in this, I don't know this, I cannot understand this paragraph, I did not understand this lecture, I have difficulty in following these regulatory principles. If you explain your weakness to a Vaishnava, no Vaishnava is there to say, no, I'm not going to help you. They are going to help you. And they will help you, and you will come out of it. Just like sometimes many devotees come to the office and say, Prabhu, I want to get married, but there's no one to guide me. Or sometimes a devotee says, I am practicing Krishna consciousness, but I have so many difficulties in chanting. Or sometimes devotees say, I have a problem with reading. The moment I start reading, I feel asleep. Some people, different devotees have different problems. But if they express their problems, then we can give the answer and try to, any devotee with a good standing can help other devotees, and that is our duty. So we have to take care, especially of devotees. Now, many of us think that, no, let me try to preach to so many people. No, first preach to your own self. You become strong, then you'll be able to preach to others. And you can bring others into Krishna consciousness. And you'll be loved by the devotees, and you'll be loved by your spiritual master. If you do this work, which needs one secret, is to remain friendly with everyone. Don't create enmity with anyone. If you are friendly, then you will be having a very pleasing character, and everyone will treat you pleasingly. Of course, there are people who are not very pleasing, it doesn't matter. And don't be affected by small things people sometimes utter. Or sometimes people can do something, doesn't matter. You just go on practicing Krishna consciousness. So in this way, you become fearless, and fearless also means you become bold. A bold devotee means a fearless devotee. And his resistance to evil of this world will become strong. No problems can affect him. And he can glide through very, very nicely. So we have to take the shelter. If you go to Bhagavatam, also Bhagavad Gita says, take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Because they are the boat, perfect boat, to take you to the other side of the world. We are on the dark side, And if we go to Vaikuntha, that is the bright side of the world. Let's go to the bright side by practicing Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. I'll end up here. If anyone wants to add something, if anyone has any queries, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned the three ways. First is by the pious activities. Second is by meditating to the Hiranyagarbha. And third is the devotional service, Krishna consciousness. So can you please elaborate how the pious activities develop of the Satyaloka? Is there any example who is resides there in Satyaloka by the pious activity, please?
A pious duty, if you are a very truthful, very honest person, well, we can't say Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was not just pious, he was a devotee. But there are people who are very pious. Very, very pious means they do always think good of others. Then they can go to Brahmaloka, provided they are truthful, pious and honest, they can go to Brahmaloka. For example, the Bhagavatam gives the example of King Rantidev. Rantidev is a very, very, what do you call, austere person, and we know about Rantidev, how he fasted for 48 days for the sake of his citizens, and 49th day, he was visited by people with hunger, and he fed them. He even gave away his water. But then it was revealed they were not ordinary people. They were Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So that Rantidev is one of the examples that I can recall. And in the world also you'll find many people who may not be very Krishna conscious, but they are very good-hearted people. They also come in this category. They don't give pain to others. They're always helpful to others, very kind to others. And such people do deserve to go to Brahmaloka because they are very, and it's very rare to find such people. But that doesn't mean they are now not there. So that is the first way of attaining perfection, to go to Brahmaloka. The second is worship of Hiranyagarbha. Like many people worship Brahma. Generally, people don't worship Brahma. But Hiranyagarbha means he is what he called, refers to Lord Brahma, or sometimes Lord Vishnu also. So as you worship, then you do go to Brahma. That is the second one. Like you find many people, they will not take up Krishna consciousness, but they are very Brahminical. Very, very Brahminical. So such people do stand a chance to go to Brahmaloka. So that's the second one. And the third one is by dint of the Krishna consciousness. That many examples are there. That how devotee, by practicing little Krishna consciousness, they went to Vaikuntha. The finest example is Ajamila. Ajamila indirectly was chanting, but Krishna gave him a chance again after the encounter between the Yamdutas and Vishnudutas. And he practiced Krishna consciousness for only 5 months. And he was promoted to Vaikuntha. So Ajamila is one of the examples. Dhruv Maharaj, though he was actually on a material platform, and he belonged to the category of pious people, but upon achieving the darshan of Lord Vishnu, he changed. He became a pure devotee. He also went to Vaikuntha. So these are the 3 examples I can give you. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. But the one doubt is that already we know who is the Krishna consciousness. They directly go to the Vaikuntha, Golak Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, not go to the Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. But now you are telling me they are going to the Satya Loka. How it is possible? Because they don't worship Brahma. How they go to Brahma Loka?
Because of their purity, honesty, they are promoted there. Because of their good character. Prabhupada gives an example in one lecture that sometimes they are very prisoners, but some prisoners, they change very quickly, become very good, and they become so, what do you call, transformed into very nice-hearted people, that if the jailer he recommends it, that person, he can be freed from the prison by the government. In the similar way, if a person is transformed, become a very good person, then of course he can't go to Vaikuntha because he's not worshipping Krishna or Vishnu, but he can go to Brahmaloka, which is also not easy, very, very difficult. I was told in one lecture that a person who takes 100 births without speaking lies, he is qualified to go to Brahmaloka. So it's not easy. If you are, and today in Kali Yuga, I think in my life, I have hardly seen anyone not a liar. Everyone speaks lies. Everyone. Very rare to find a truthful person. And if you are a truthful person, many people call you a fool. I have noticed myself. If you are very truthful, very honest, then people think you are foolish. Then you may not even get a job in your life. You might not get money in your life. Nobody will marry a person like that. They say, oh, he's too foolish. But really speaking, that person is a man of God. He is valued later on. But while he's living, people don't value him. So these are the examples I have seen myself.
Yes, right. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhupada has so elaborately mentioned different layers of matter, air,
Yes.
earth, fire, heat. So it's those coverings are there for the soul to penetrate and then go beyond these material coverings and then go to spiritual worlds.
Yes.
Is that the understanding, Prabhuji?
That is a correct understanding. Just like if you studied physics, then they say beyond this atmosphere there is stratosphere, that for. That means there are different coverings. Even the physics agrees, the science agrees. In a similar way, in the Bhagavatam, also in Bhagavad Gita, they say that lighter than the earth is the water, still lighter is the fire, still lighter is the air, then the sky. Then the density is 10 times lesser. And the same thing is being explained here, that if you are engaged in Krishna consciousness, then you would have the difficulty of going through these layers. You will pass through them very swiftly and go to Vaikuntha. That is the biggest advantage we have. It's okay. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions?
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, we know when Bhishma Dev was leaving this material world, there were so many sages who came to see him. When Parashik Maharaj was leaving this material world, so many great sages came to see him departing, because it's a very rare event, right? So these great sages, they don't go to Vaikuntha directly. They go to the Satyaloka. They stay in the Satyaloka, all of them. And then when Brahma dies, then they live in the body of God with Sai Vishnu. And when creation is made again, then they may go higher. Otherwise, they all reside in the Satyaloka.
Okay. Now, in the Bhagavatam, it is explained. You are right in the first part of your explanation, that they go to Brahmaloka. That is okay. Now, if you go to third canto, there's a mention that all the citizens or the residents of Brahmaloka are given the chance to go to Vaikuntha, not others.
Yes.
So they don't have to wait to go back to Garbhadakshay Vishnu. No, they go straight to Vaikuntha. But
So
only people of Brahmaloka, not others.
Okay, so when do they go to the Vaikuntha Loka?
During the annihilation, complete annihilation.
Right.
There are two kinds of annihilation.
Yes.
When there's a complete annihilation, then only the people from the Brahmaloka are allowed to go there. Even Brahma is allowed to go there.
Right. Right.
Now
So
that
because
takes
in
millions of years. That takes
Yes.
millions of years.
Yes, yes. So most of the great rishis, they reside there. Now,
Yes.
when we see the pastime of Narad Muni, right? Narad Muni, he explains, he's telling to Vyasadeva of his past life, and then when he left his material body, he says with all the rishis, he stayed in the body of God Buddha Vishnu for millions of years. And then when Brahma new life started, when he started creating, then with all the rishis, he also came out of the body of God Buddha Vishnu. That's why my understanding was that all the rishis stays in the body of God Buddha Vishnu, and then they go back. So now, thank you for clearing. Now I know they don't go into Garbhuta Vishnu because, as Narad Muni stated, I'm taking his word from the Bhagavatam, right? So thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Narad Muni went, from the son of a maidservant. When he left his body, he left his body like thunder and lightning. In a split of a second, he left his body, and he entered into the body of Brahma. And when Brahma created again his sons, he was the best of the sons of Lord Brahma.
Yes.
And that is Narada. And he was given the special prerogative, special powers that he can travel anywhere, everywhere, chanting the glories of Lord Narayan.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's not easy to become Narad. Scriptures, there's only one Narad. There are not two Narads.
No,
only one
Narad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. In spiritual world, there's no competition like what we have in the material world.
Yes.
So, yes.
That is true.
Yes, Prabhu. Devotees
Because
always.
there's nothing like envy, so there's no competition. Everyone is serving Krishna. Everyone is envy-free. And the person who is the most envy-free is Radharani. If she sees someone serving Krishna, she's very pleased. She will even move aside and allow the devotee to serve Krishna. So that's the mood of Vaikuntha, which we are supposed to also have. And if we can have, we can live even only in this world in a Vaikuntha atmosphere.
Yes, Prabhuji. But for us conditioned souls, we are so much accustomed to this material world, and then competition, full of competition around us, and then without purifying, we cannot conceive those ideas.
Not just competition. If we are not recognized, we feel that I did so much and they didn't even speak my name, or they didn't even call me. So that kind of, our heart is not so pure. But one who is pure, he doesn't feel all this. And he goes on serving Krishna. That even to the best of his capacity.
Prabhuji, I just remembered one more thing. Is Gop Kumar. He went to all the world system, and then he went directly to Golok.
Yes.
He was given all. He was given all the opulences, all the opulences in all the planetary system, but he didn't want any. He just wanted to see Gopal in the form of cowherd boy.
Cowherd boy, yes.
Yeah, he went.
He just wanted to see Krishna Balram.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Hare
true.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what Mataji said, if you go deep into that, everything depends on what is our desire to serve Krishna. How much are we in need of Krishna? Rupa Goswami says you have to have that lalsa. Lalsa means the greed. That I want to become a devotee like this and I want to serve Krishna. And Krishna will fulfill. This is the greatest strength you can have. But lalsa, it's called lalsa. I want to serve. That's it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful session. I request Parth Prem Prabhu to unmute and then close the session. Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, one just clarification. Now Indulekha Mataji told all the great sages are resides in Brahma Loka, but we heard there are so many loka and the restless are resides in the Tapo Loka, just like Bhuloka, Brahma, Bhuloka, Bhavaloka,
Yes,
Sholoka,
yes.
Mahaloka, Tapo Loka. Then
There is
at the next is
Janaloka.
Brahma Loka.
There is Janaloka, where people, great
Yeah.
people stay. Janaloka.
Uh-huh.
Tapaloka, where you austere people. Mahaloka,
Okay.
great-minded
Uh-huh.
people. Satyaloka, truthful people. That is Brahmaloka. So these
Okay.
four are very great planets. And
Mhm.
they don't get destroyed during past annihilation. So you are right that there are many other lokas where great people stay.
Yes, yes.
It is true.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, for
Yes,
your
Prabhuji,
nice
you
class.
know what happened when there's annihilation, these four planetary system people, they go higher. The free one, they go to Satyaloka. They get the opportunity. Not everyone will get opportunity to go higher when there's annihilation. So they get the opportunity to go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. I request everyone, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Grace Rukma Prabhuji. Please join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya,
Kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Prabhupada ki jai. Grace Rukma Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you.